Okay, we're going to go ahead and start the toy car drawing. There's multiple parts to this drawing. Um, some of them are fairly complex. On the web page here, I clicked on toy car, and in the PDF here, we're going to look at the car. First, let's just look at what we're looking at on the actual drawing itself. This is the side view of the car. This is where we're going to start with all these dimensions right here. There's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dimensions that are critical to us creating this drawing accurately. This is the top view of the car, and you can see that there's 2 holes put through the car, and that's where the passenger is going to sit, and the car width is 58. This is called a section drawing, where it looks like a cutaway view, and you can see if the car were cut in half what this would actually look like, and you can see where the passenger sits down in here. And then we have a front view of the car, or the end you might call it, and there's a little dovetail cut out and a bar that slides in there. So we're going to go ahead and zoom in on this bottom drawing here. We're going to start with this. Now there's a procedure here that works easier than maybe some other ways you might naturally go about this. So we're going to go ahead and go to Creo, and we need to go ahead and set our working directory. So we're going to go to the computer, H drive, Creo, and we're going to right click on the car folder that I already created and set working directory. We're going to start a new drawing called car. And if you want to call it car body, you can. Whatever you want to call it here is fine, as long as it makes sense. Now I'm going to start this drawing differently because I know most of you won't finish this in one class period. So I'm not going to click extrude. I'm actually going to click sketch. The advantage of doing it this way is it gives you time. If you don't get the extrude done in one class period, you got to start it over the next day. So it can be very tricky. So this buys you some time, and you can actually do it over a couple different class periods. We're going to click sketch. We're going to click front, and then sketch here, and then don't forget to go to sketch view. Alright, so I'm actually looking at my drawing. The way I want to set this up is this is going to be the bottom of my car. The front of my car will be here. The back of my car will be here. And I'm actually going to draw only the front half of my actual car right here. So if you go back to your PDF here real quick, you can see that you have a diameter of 250 circle. And you're like, well, how's this a circle? Well, this used to be one giant circle that used to come around that we've trimmed. And just a word of caution, don't trim anything on this drawing until all dimensions are correct. It just doesn't like that on this particular drawing. So we're going to go ahead and come back to our drawing. We're going to start with the diameter 250 circle. So I'm going to start it below the plane, pull it up, and kind of have it crest over this circle right here. Middle click and make this 250. And notice I'm dimensioning it now. Well, the reason I'm dimensioning it now, I want it closer to actual scale of what the car will be and what I'm going to end up at. If this was, say, 1,000, and then you kind of roughed out what the rest of the car looked like, and then you asked this circle to come down from 1,000 to 250, I mean, you could have some real issues here where it doesn't want to do that. So by making this 250 right now, it just makes it so much easier. And we're going to rough out what the car actually looks like now. So we're going to let me get rid of that. Draw down, over, up, over, down, into the middle. So we're just roughing out what the bottom of the car looks like without the rounded features. So when we come back to the car here, when we click our line segment or our line chain, we're going to come near the front. I'm just guessing, okay? And I'm going to come straight down, click, I'm going to come over, I'm going to come up, and I'm just going to make a little wheel well here. So don't lock any constraints together. These are not equal. So we want to make sure we don't lock anything here together as we draw, even if it looks a little funny as I create these numbers. Okay, so once I've done that, I'm going to middle click. So nothing is equal. And then we're going to go ahead and place in the top of this wheel well. So we snap from midpoint to the outer edge. And then I go ahead and put in the little seat up here where the passenger is going to sit. And if you look back at this drawing here, you can see this is kind of what this looks like if you just drew half of this drawing. So we've come over, up, over, down, put the little circle in here, put the little circle in here. And now it's a matter of getting all dimensions perfect before you continue. Do not trim any of these lines. Okay, I'm just telling you, I know it doesn't work well. So we're going to go to our dimension tool, and we're going to, some of these we can actually use. You know, we already did our 250 diameter circle. This one right here is real usable. This is 53. if I recall, and we can always keep looking back at our PDF to make sure. So yeah, we got 53. And what you need to do here is learn how to read a plan. So you look at this and you say, okay, this is 21. Well, what's 21 is what you need to ask yourself. Well, look at the arrowheads. What's it pointing at? Well, it's saying it's 21 from this arrowhead to this arrowhead. And what does that line up with? Well, it lines up with the bottom of the car and the center of the wheel well. So this dimension from center of wheel well to bottom of the car is actually 21. And once you learn how to read a plan, it's a lot easier. Now this dimension may be on there. It's right here. But if you didn't see it or it didn't pop up, I'll just go ahead and add it for you. So I'm going to say, okay, from center of wheel well to bottom of car, middle click, that's going to be 21. Okay? And then we're going to zoom back in and we're going to do the next one. So we're going to come back to here and go, okay, 34. What's 34? From front of car to center of wheel well. So we come back to our drawing. That's definitely not on here. So we're going to go center to front, middle click, 34. Okay? And we'll come back to our drawing, and we're going to look at it and go, okay, we have an 81 as the half length of our car, and 67.79 to the center of that circle. So when you come back here, we're going to add those two dimensions in. We're going to say, okay, from front of car to center, middle click is 81, and we're going to come up and say, okay, from bottom of the car to the center of this circle is 67.79, enter, and there you go. Now, it looks done, but we've got this dimension right here. Okay, and you can see that this is 25.8. Now, where's that on the drawing? Well, it's actually right here, and it's a little confusing the way it's written, but it says radius of 10. Looks like it says Rio, but it doesn't. Radius of 10, and it's pointing down here. What they're really talking about is this wheel well. So this is a radius of 10 or diameter of 20 on that actual wheel well, and both sides are the same. So when we come back here, this is already a diameter dimension, so you can just change this to 20. If you want it to read in radius, then you single click the circle and middle click. Now I would definitely recommend you check all these dimensions. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dimensions that are on that first part of that drawing that we looked at, and these are all correct. Now once these are all correct, now you can trim it, but do not trim anything until you get all these dimensions correct. So now we just come through and we're just going to trim out stuff that we don't want, which will be this and that. And this part right here, and when you come into the wheel well, you got to take that part out, and you got to take the bottom part out, and then you got to take this out. Now don't forget these lines that exist down here at the bottom. This won't allow you to extrude the drawing, so you got to take this line out of here. And once you've done that, you have half of a car. Okay, notice that it's not closed right here. That's actually good. Okay, because we're gonna put a center line down the middle right here, and we're going to mirror the car, and that's going to allow us to make a duplicate, a mirror image of it. So here's how you do a mirror image. Well, first you got to highlight what it is that you want to mirror. So we go up to our selection arrow, click it, and we highlight this entire drawing right here. You can see we've highlighted it. Go to your mirror tool and read. It says at the bottom, select the mirror line. So you're going to select the center line that we drew right here. You can see it mirrors it to the other side, and it's shaded in, so it's closed. If we click OK, it should work. Now, if it doesn't work, it's because you have an extra line somewhere. You either closed it here, or you left a line in the wheel well, or you drew a line on top of a line, and you got to go looking for that stuff. It's got to be a perfectly clean, closed drawing. But once you got that, you can click OK, and it's actually going to make it. Now it looks like, oh, nothing happened. Well, remember how we started the drawing. We started it as a sketch. So let's say you are partially done with your drawing today, but it doesn't look like mine. You still have to green check mark and accept your sketch, and now you can actually save this drawing. So when I save it, I need it to say car part. If it says car.sec file or section drawing, you're saving it as a 2D drawing and you're not going to be able to work with it tomorrow. That's why we accept our sketch, the green check mark, and then we save it. Now it's a part, and you can hit OK. So now when you open this back up tomorrow, then you can come over to the sketch and right click and edit definition, and you're back where you were before, and you can add more detail to it and then accept it again. But that allows you to come in and out of this each day, even though you haven't completely finished it. So once you do have the sketch finished and you have nice one nice closed object. Here's your sketch. What do we do with it? Well, originally we were going to extrude it. So we're going to go extrude, and we're going to make it a depth of, what was it, 48 I believe. Let's come back to our drawing and look. Come up here. No, 58. So the car is 58 wide, and I'm going to center that plane down the middle so it's easier to put the holes in later. So we're going to come back here and we're going to say 58, enter. And also, you can see here's our sketch plane at the back. We're going to go ahead and center it on the sketch plane, and now we've got a plane running through the middle of the car, and accept it. Now that's quite a bit of work for a lot of you guys to get this done in one period. So make sure you're, number one, making a sketch. Number two, green check marking the sketch at the end of each period, and then saving it. And then you can always go edit definition on that sketch and continue working on it. That's critical that you're going through that process, or you're going to be doing this thing over and over and over again. So check out the next tutorial for the rounds.